you to help.
I like that. I mean, this is a really good start with Amazon, is they're really trying to hammer player feedback. So if they are really genuine about this, like this is a great start for them to really keep the new players, but also to regain that trust back with the veteran players. So it looks like Amazon is actually coming through with a roadmap. Today, they just dropped a new developer video, which I haven't watched yet, but apparently, from what Reddit was saying, they go over a roadmap in this video, which is kind of huge news. And, I think Amazon Games really needs to capitalize on this moment, right? Capitalize on the new players that are coming into this game, but also those veteran players as well, right? Amazon has to rebuild that trust with those veteran players, but also those new players. And, if they do go over a roadmap, like that's extremely hype. But talking about it and actually implementing it is two different things, right? So hopefully everything that they talk about in this video will actually make it into the game. And like I said, they really, really, really have to capitalize on this current growth and just build that trust with all of the players. So let's watch this video together and I'll just kind of give my input throughout this video. I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to like reaction videos, so bear with me. Hopefully it goes well. But yeah, let's jump right on in. All right. Full screen this bad boy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the New World
Hello, hello,
Aeternum
hello.
post-launch dev update. I'm Scott, the game director on New World Aeternum. I'm here with Dave, the creative director. Dan, given
I have no idea who any of these people are here at this round table, but I like how they say, first video on the post launch. Well, this game has been out for quite a few years now, but I guess it is the first video after Aeternum's launch.
Nod, the design lead, and Katie, the live lead. Before we get going, oh my gosh, we launched.
We did it.
We've seen people pile in the beaches. It's been awesome. It has been so fun getting the console players interacting with the PC players and watching all that fun stuff.
I think he makes such a good point there. Being able to have cross play with PC and console is so cool. And it's just a really awesome experience. Like, I wish all games were like that. So you weren't like just limited to like a single population, right? And I think it's important to have like PC only servers, Xbox only servers, but I think it's also important to have like both servers as well. Well, not Xbox, but Xbox and PlayStation. Sorry, PlayStation. I'm an Xbox guy. I've always been an Xbox guy. But, either console, right? Being able to play with PC, I think that's just such a cool experience.
Any stories you all want to share about the launch?
I mean, I really enjoyed seeing the raid. Like the first time seeing that completed was epic. Now people are
still haven't even done the raid yet.
Like really cool.
Yeah, mine is related to that because we just saw the first sub 30 minutes and actually first sub 20-minute raid run.
Digging the purple glasses.
Really awesome, but also means we're going to make the next raid really hard.
I'm loving it being on console.
Hey, she said next raid. All right.
So it's my living room. The whole family gets to play. It's really fun.
The response has been great. Thank you all for coming and checking it out. Like, I can't tell you how exciting it is for all of us to put this out there and see everyone playing it and giving us the feedback. So we're really appreciative. Couldn't be happier. So I know some of you are joining us for the first time. And what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about where we plan to go with New World in the future. We're going to start with
a living
7,
roadmap,
so we can walk you through all of the cool things coming out in season 7 and, sneak peek. They're pretty freaking cool. Beyond that, we have this thing that we're going to talk about called in development. So these are a bunch of features that we're working on. We are not ready to commit to a timeline, but we want to give you that insight and get some feedback from you, which will help us prioritize which ones come first and where we go. And then we're going to talk about some.
I'm really hoping that with this living roadmap, that they can say for sure that this content is going to be in. I mean, I'm okay with like in development, and I'm glad that they're going to openly talk about in development and, give us that insight of what they're thinking. But, yeah, it's just one of those things where hopefully it's actually in development and it actually comes into the game, where it just doesn't come into the game at all. That's my only concern. So yeah, but at least they're gonna talk about in development. So I'm okay
things that
with
are in
that.
the early ideation phase. This is where we just want to get your sense which of these you like more than others, because this is where you can have a big impact on that, on where we go with the game this year.
Also, I like too where they're pretty much reaching out and asking for feedback on the type of direction that players want to take the game. So I really like that.
Um, but with that, Dan, you're going to take us through this.
Yeah. So next we're gonna dive into these things one by one. We'll bring in some other folks to the
Dude, this man's arms are massive.
table and gobble gobble. Let's go.
Man's got some
Gobble,
guns.
gobble.
Hello, everybody. So now we are joined by 3 new faces at the table. We have 3 lead designers. We have Joel of Systems and Seasons.
What up,
We
Joel?
have JR of Combat and
JR?
Modes. And we have Chad of AI
Chad.
and Encounters. And
He's definitely a Chad.
we together are going to be talking about some things that are in our next season, which is coming at the top of next year. Obviously, we just got done shipping a big console game, and we're getting back up and running into content and future development. And console game.
Okay. So next season, season 7, seasonal world, PvP, new outpost rush map. I think I said that right. Preview, mutated expedition upgrades, new daily solo trials, combat balance updates, new artifacts and perks, seasonal events and world bosses. Okay. All right. So hopefully they'll talk a little bit more about this and give us some more insight and everything. Again, hopefully everything that they talk about will actually make it into the game. I guess they'll talk about that.
Obviously, we just got done shipping a big console game, and we're getting back up and running into content and future development. And we'll take you through one at a time. The first one being something we've been talking about for a long time. Finally have, super excited. Joel, do the honors. Tell us about Seasonal Worlds.
Yeah, this is one that I'm personally really excited about and something that I really have been invested in. So Seasonal Worlds are a season-based world that will last for the time of the season, so roughly around 3 months, that has unique rule sets where we really flip things on their head. The goal being that we provide players with a really unique experience that breaks the rules that, in the case, and I'll talk about it in a little bit, maybe PvP is always on these rules or on these worlds.
You gave it away.
I did give it away. As you know, the first
That's kind of cool.
Not as you know, but as you know now, the first server is PvP focused, and that's something that's near and dear to me. I've played a lot of games over the years that I really enjoy that risk
It's a pretty
reward
cool arm
feeling.
set.
The first server is at level 15. You'll be fighting other players. We've created a unique set of item and gear that you'll be able to craft. It's very heavily crafting focused, which I also
that's
really
cool.
like, where the player will feel powerful in this gear, but the risk that comes with this gear that you'll be able to craft is that it drops on death, that it has durability. We're pulling back some of those old mechanics that don't exist in the normal world.
Resources and the gear.
Yes.
All drop on death.
The resources, well, the new resources to craft our special new really kind of super items that are on par with, say, artifacts in this server, those drop on death.
Yep.
But you'll be able to craft some more basic gear that's still pretty high gear score with some more basic resources like iron, like timber and hide. You'll be able to craft your normal gear that's still really high gear score, but you'll need to wear that special gear that's dropped on death to go get these new resources to craft these really cool big items.
That gear also, like, you should talk about, like, we went pretty crazy with it, right?
That's nuts.
Because it can drop on death. Like we did things that we normally would be kind of leery balance.
Did you mention that it breaks too?
It does break.
Yes.
But to JR's point, we took some of these pieces of gear and we really pushed the limit on them to make them feel special, to make them feel like there's impact. These should feel on par to our.
So I'm kind of curious. So there's special gear that drops on, like, when you die. I wonder if that gear, like, I wonder, like, if any pieces of gear that you wear drops when you die, or is it just that specific gear that you can, like, pick up? And it sounds like you need that gear to do, like, to get certain resources and whatnot. I'm just curious, like, does any type of gear drop, or is it that specific gear will drop if you die, which I'm okay with. But if it's like, if it's every single what is it, like Albion Online, like if you die, like in the PvP zones, like you drop everything. I do not like that. It's too stressful. But I think it's kind of cool that there's a certain gear piece, and this is kind of what it sounds like. And they might further elaborate. Maybe I'm just jumping the gun a little bit, but it sounds like there's going to be some certain gear pieces that you can maybe find, or if you kill a player, you can pick up that gear and then you can use that gear to gain a little bit more power, but also be able to get more, or go and get more resources or different resources that can only be obtained with that gear. But you still have other like gear that you can still wear, but that won't drop on death. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Artifact items,
Interesting though.
if not farther in some.
I like a PvP only server and having, or seasonal server and having PvP on at all times. I think that's really cool.
Very farther.
Yeah. So really the goal is how crazy is going to be? How much are we going to shake up the meta? How much of a different experience can we provide to you? While still some of that familiar.
Yo, that is so cool. Look at that. I love the color aspect too. The white and purple.
Feeling that core of the game that is so much fun.
Now that is a Chad.
So we can kind of experiment and again, find what's fun to you or fun to me or fun to each other. I'm really looking forward to what we can do with these systems.
It feels a lot like the original New World Alpha, but with all of the QOL and content that it now has.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
We should also reiterate, like, so it's a brand new server, like that literally wipes every season. So you also get that new player experience every season. If you
Totally
like that.
You get those hordes of players coming in from the beach. You get the camps on the ground. You're going to have a lot of like death and maiming getting to the settlements. That's my jam. I'm a somewhat of aggressive player, so I'm excited to see how players are going to treat this, how they're going to form up and protect each other.
I will be honest. I'm not much of a, and this is just in MMOs in general, but I'm not really much of a seasonal character type of player, unless I'm like a brand new player, right? And it's going to benefit me in the long run. Like I know Black Desert Online does a really good job of like seasonal server, where if you get in, you can like fast pace your gear and your experience, and then you can transfer that character over to the main servers. And so I don't know if you're going to be able to do that, but like just replaying everything. I mean, having to do like the storyline all over and leveling up all over, I'm just kind of but having PvP on all the time, that would definitely will spice things up.
But also potentially rob each other
And
from their
also,
gear.
it feeds
Definitely
into the
very
territory
interesting.
system too. It brings those big stakes to this. Crafters are now like a necessary part of your war machine.
What if it
as you
accelerates
take
the
over
leveling?
server. It's all there.
And there's a lot of little fine-tuning quality of life tweaks that we're also looking at as well. So like, I know you just did the MSQ. We were looking at ways to make it so you can completely level by crafting if you want to.
Yeah.
Again, we'll have more details on these things in the future, but we're really trying to fine-tune these little experiences to feel like you can play how you want. And
That's
it's,
cool.
Again, slightly familiar, but completely different when you play through it. And I'm really excited to be bringing these servers to you.
That's awesome. It's a whole new frontier. I mean, it's changing up all the time too, which is great.
Yes, we have, I can't wait to tell you about all the ideas we have for future ones. And of course, they become places to experiment with things that we might bring into the main game. But that's not all. One of the other things that we're very excited to bring you, JR, I won't upstage you. What are we bringing?
Okay, so we
Let us have it,
know
JR.
OPR is one of our most popular modes, and we've had the same map since launch, pretty much, right? It came out shortly after that. So
Never
I'm
even
excited
done
to announce
Outpost.
that we are in development on a new OPR map, and we're going to actually have it be in a preview form for Season 7. We're going to have it on for a weekend, and we want to get
cool.
player feedback on it, and so they can, you guys, we want you to help.
I like that. I mean, this is a really good start with Amazon, is they're really trying to hammer player feedback. So if they are really genuine about this, like this is a great start for them to really keep the new players, but also to regain that trust back with the veteran players.
Help us to
That's
develop
awesome.
the map. We want to make sure that this map is lives up to the expectations that you have, having waited for so long.
And later in the video, we'll talk more about it. But I mean, this is just the beginning, right? We're spinning up multiple maps.
Yeah, absolutely. Like so, the modes pipeline is in full gear now. We're going to be making new game modes and new maps, and for existing modes. And yeah, this new OPR map is kind of like the first one out of the gate.
Yeah, we wanted to show it to you, even though it's not potentially not fully ready. Again, to get that feedback, but also we're just so excited. Can't wait. Next on the list is kind of a few small things that we're doing for mutations, which are expeditions in the game have normal and mutated levels. So for M3, which is the highest level, we're adding these to the instanced matchmaking system. In order to make sure this goes smoothly, we are unifying our mutations. Tell us about that, Chad.
Yeah, so big ticket item here is that all the currently active mutated expeditions will now share the same mutation. So elemental, promotions, curses, all those will be the same across all of them, which means a lot less re-gearing, gemming your gear, and hopefully just more time spent fighting and having.
Yo, that is pretty cool.
A good time collecting loots.
And then the other thing we're doing is we're increasing the quality.
I love how they're adding matchmaking as well, kind of streamlining everything.
The rewards in M3s.
Yeah. So we're looking at adding crafting materials into mutated expeditions, as well as in raids, that together, when they're combined, you'll be able to craft new 725s. So this will be an alternative source and give meaning to want to go back into these expeditions and make sure that you're actually having fun in the content you want. We're going to continue looking at that and improving it. For now, we like where it's at, and we think that it'll give more players a reason to go visit this content.
So adding more options to
Yes.
your endgame content.
Yes.
Along those same lines, we're also adding.
Yes. I haven't reached Endgame yet because I've been taking my time, just been really enjoying the game, been really enjoying the leveling up process. But I think that's been one of the biggest gripes from the veteran players is there's not that much in-game content. So hopefully they'll further elaborate on that.
2 new daily solo trials to the roster.
3 new solo trials.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah. So we've got, we're adding Mother's Dream, which is Emperor Zhu, Tempest Mind, which is Isabella, and Daichi Saito. So that's adding to our roster. So you should be seeing those in your list every day.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad. And then to round out the season, we have a few things that we like to do every season, starting with combat balance updates.
Yeah, so obviously, yeah, this is something we do every season. This season, some of the things that
Oh boy, combat balance updates. I wonder if they'll talk about the whole auto aim aspect with the controller and the PC.
we focused on was time to kill. Something we've been seeing in PvP a lot. The fight's going a little too long. So we're making some adjustments to consumables and some of the perks. And then we're also looking at balance around target lock. Target locks,
Target
There it is.
lock, you say.
Yeah, we turned it on in PvP for the Aeternum launch, and we've been keeping an eye on the feedback. And
By the way, thanks
data.
again for all the feedback right before launch as we went through beta. It was very helpful, and we made some changes. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, right? Like having PC and console play together, like target lock is so important for console players, right? Who play on a controller. So it's hard to like balance that. Like it's not really fair if you have a console player and you have a PC player and they disable target lock. The PC player is more than likely going to have an advantage over the console player because the console player is using a controller, right? It's very similar to like Call of Duty, right? You have aim assist, not aim assist. And I guess one way that they could try to do it like Call of Duty does it is, if you play on a controller, it locks you into that. And so I don't know. It's because there's matchmaking with Call of Duty. So like if you do aim assist, they're going to put you in lobbies that are using like the aim assist help. So yeah, I don't know how they could balance that.
Absolutely, we did tone it down quite a bit from what it was in beta, and we're going to be continuing to tune things. One of the changes that's coming up in season 7 is actually the blunderbuss was a problem. We had nerfed the damage going into launch. Now we've reversed that, and instead we've replaced it with some extra inaccuracy in target lock as kind of a balancing factor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to be continuing to make tweaks like that in the future.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. There's also new artifacts, new perks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be introducing 8 new artifacts in Season 7. 7 of them will be weapons, and there's one accessory, which is an earring.
Nice.
And yeah, there's some interesting combos that are going to come out of that.
Dude, I love
There's
that
an ice
armor.
gun in there, gauntlet in there that I really
Oh,
enjoy.
look at
It's a
that.
really cool ability on the gauntlet that lets me, when I ice tune, give me a large amount of regen at the end of that. So I'm excited to try out and see what I can actually get away with that, or if I still die. But we'll see how it goes.
Sounds like trouble.
Yeah, well,
Attaboy, Chad.
That's his nickname.
That's a fun.
Joel Trouble Clift. And then, well, why don't you bring us home with talking about the seasonal events? And
yeah, so we're doing some refreshes on a few events. We're looking at Legacy of Crassus and upping the rewards a little bit more meaty rewards past level 700. Same with Siege of Sulfur. And then we're going to bring a little bit more rewards into Rabbit Revenge. That's a little bit more fun costumey. Maybe a little bit of trolley in there as well. We'll see how it goes. Hoping to get those events to console players for the first time as well, as they haven't seen these events.
so that's everything in
Yeah, I love seasonal events. Please have more seasonal events, or more events just in general. Doesn't have to be seasonal, just more events in general. I think that really helps to get the community engaged.
next season. We're very excited about the OPR map.
Yeah.
Very excited about seasonal worlds.
Absolutely.
More details about both coming soon. And remember, we're just getting started.
Ooh,
Now,
they're just getting
let's
started.
talk about what's in development. So
Okay, so this is what's at least they're saying that it's in development. So I guess you could probably say, there's definitely a chance that it might not make it into the game. But let's see
in
what's
development
in
is
development.
somewhere in a more midterm timeline. We're definitely looking into stuff, but there's still plenty of room to discover. And yeah, so I mean, there's tons on this list in no particular order. We can start with
Invasion.
Thank you.
Why I like Invasion as something that we're working on is because I think it's super cool content. It's sort of unique to New World, this idea of battling hordes of people. But, the content is a little limited in terms of participation because it's only a set time. It can only take this many people. So what if we turn this into a mode, right? Like, I think we're starting to make more and more modes. The activity screen is a great place to sort of like, what do I feel like doing? So like, let's get Invasion into a mode. And I think once you start going in that frame of mind, I'm sure lots of things could we add some more enemies? Could we add maybe mutations? What happens to the rewards? Like lots of ideas start to come up.
Yeah, definitely like adding more variety to the mode. Like we have all these different kinds of corrupted enemies that we aren't using in the mode currently. So like bringing those in and like having it vary up like per season even, like be awesome.
Yeah, it's great content. I mean, speaking of modes, I mean, that's one of the things that your team's looking into more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually prototyping lots of different kinds of game modes, things you might have seen in other games.
So has Invasion already been in the game? Like, I don't know what Invasion is. Maybe that's already something that's already playable in the game, but now they're just making it into more of like a mode, so it's a little bit more easy accessible. Maybe, or is it something entirely new? I'm not really sure. New PvP modes. All right, let's hear it.
Like Capture the Flag that we think would actually work really well.
I love Capture the Flag game mode. Like Call of Duty. I don't know why did Call of Duty take that game mode away? Like why? It used to be my favorite game mode to play.
Our game, also like a battle royale mode, like a lot of those systems that make up battle royale already exist in the game. So
Battle
like,
royale,
mashing them together, creating a queuable mode for that.
Yep.
And then also like,
hey, honestly, more of the content, the better, right? More content equals better for everybody. So, less people can kind of complain saying like, oh, there's no content in the game. Like, no, there is. There's a lot of content to play. So yeah, those sound really cool.
So kind of like a framework for new modes might be like doing like more of a seasonal type experience where
that's cool.
Every season there's like a featured game mode for that season, and we vary it up like every season.
Yeah, I love that. Like even something like Capture the Flag. One season maybe we try with mounts, the next season without. Like there's ways you can sort of like
spice it
keep
up,
it fresh and interesting.
Yeah, it increases variety, and then it also kind of keeps the number of modes like maintainable, so that we don't split up matchmaking too much and stuff like that. for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah, like every new queue that we add like splits our player base, and we want to avoid that.
Yeah. And then we've talked a lot
That's a good
about
point.
modes and how like they sit really well next to our open world, but like the open world and the persistent new world experience is super important, and that's where we're looking at all kinds of stuff, like QOL things.
Yeah, like one that I know we're thinking about is storage, right? Like how many times have you
Bruh. Global storage. Oh, look, it says right there. Yeah, global storage. Like that probably should have been in the game years ago. So that's a huge quality of life improvement. Yes, we need that big time. I know BDO did that, what, a year or two ago? And that was like huge quality of life improvement. Like global storage is so good.
you've been crafting and you're like, where is this material? Or
hate
you're
that so much.
you're about ready to run a mutation and you need a special piece of gear, right? So like if storage was much
Oh, also maybe like have find an item option, like BDO has that, where you can just click on and like find an item and you can type it in and boom, it pops it right up where it's located. Love that feature. Love that feature.
more global,
Yep.
what
But
would that be like?
still filterable. You want to be able to make sure you can find those things or sort it in a way that's meaningful to you, but not
Yes.
have to chase it down every time you want to do an action
Yes.
like crafting and other places like that, right? Pull it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one where we have to kind of solve like more edge cases than you think of. There's tech, but I mean, we definitely want to do it and get it out there. Similar to modes, also one of the pieces of endgame content that we love, but we want to try to improve upon is wars.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. So
Pick up
I
wars.
bet that the majority of the player base has not experienced a war because it is
Nope.
very exclusive content, but it is so good. It's so fun. So our goal is to provide a way for the rest of the players to try it out, right?
That'd be awesome.
So the thought is that we would do some kind of like private war system or like a pickup war where any company can challenge another company to a war.
Guild
so
decks.
it's just a way of like, bringing war to the masses.
I love it, right? Because there's so much that war relies on right now. Like it's so important that people don't want to take risks. But if you make it something that like any two companies can set it up, you don't even have to be in a company. Maybe just any 50 people can get together.
Mercenaries.
It allows people to try new builds. It allows people to try new people rather than
people.
slot the exact
Yes.
same people in every time. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's a place right now where you can't really slot somebody unless you have no way to vet them or audition them. And then, yeah, like you said, just more people being able to experience it at all. So we've heard from a lot of you, and we completely agree that the
Hey, in-game improvements. Okay. Look, they are listening, guys. They are listening.
start game for a new world is now better than it's ever been. The mid game is feeling good.
I agree. Like if you haven't tried out New World Aeternum, and if you played when this game first launched, they've done like a 180. It's a huge change, huge difference. It's like a whole brand new game. And if you already bought it a couple years ago, like you can still play. You don't have to rebuy the game. You still have access to the same game. And yeah, I mean, new player experience is so much better. Mid-game experience, so much better. Everything just feels really nice, crisp. I mean, honestly, New World Aeternum probably should have been the game that was released at launch 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, so now I think their really main focus now needs to be transitioning to like in-game improvements, right?
Good. It's really when you get to the end game and the kind of like systems and dailies take over. That's where we think we can double down and make things start to really click and awesome. We've all got thoughts on this, but Joel, why don't you begin?
Yeah, absolutely. So first I want to say we hear you and we understand that a lot of the older content, we really want to refresh that. We want to make it feel like you can go back to Reek Water and have impact. You can go back to really crafting high-end gear, finding unique things from crafting. In an earlier segment, we talked a little bit about how we're improving item crafting from mutated dungeons. We really want to take that to another level across the board. One example would be looking at reputation systems for some of the zones and being able to build up and kind of have a reason to go somewhere you might not normally go, build up, get better rewards, have reasons to go craft there, have reasons to go do, different gameplay elements such as ECRs, such as questing, potentially new gameplay activities in some of those areas, new collections. We're really trying to push kind of play how you want to play.
Yeah.
Part of that's like making rewards that you care about, right?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
So it's like in the past we've had just like this gear score chase, and then you get the perks you want, and then you're kind of done, right? Like, but we're talking about having a larger variety of perks that are like more of a horizontal progression.
Yes, I was about to say we need more horizontal mechanics or progression, less so vertical, but more horizontal play.
Like something the combat team's been talking about actually is like we have like one unique perk per ability, but there's nothing to stop us from making like 10 unique perks per ability, right? Like, and having just a lot of variety and like changing
Mix
up the
and match.
gameplay that kind of is more of like a horizontal
Makes balancing a little bit more difficult though.
thing.
And then taking that a step further and potentially putting those perks in unique places. So I have to go to this dungeon or Requad or this zone to be able to get those perks. And also making those perks have more of an impact in different game modes and different areas of the game as well will really help flesh some of this out. Really make crafting meaningful is something that I'm personally passionate about. I love to go gather, click rocks, whatever you want to say in the game. That's my jam. I love doing those type of things. You'll find me gathering more often.
Bro. The sounds in this game are so good. Oh my gosh.
Than not. But I really want to make sure that crafting has that meaty impact that we had previously. You're able to craft some of the best gear, and it has a reason and a purpose is one of the biggest goals we have for this. Beyond that, really making sure that you can kind of play the way you want and go to the zones that you want or the modes that you want, and making sure that those rewards are meaningful, not just go to the raid, not just go to Sandworm, and not just go get golden coconuts and other things like that.
Yeah, I think that's the best summary. Is like play the way you want and always feel like you're making an impact, like you're progressing in some way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. And there's so many ways we can do that. I love the idea of the reputation systems because it's like a new level of meta progression. And I think there's some neat ways we could do that versus just a very grindy way, make it more quest oriented or something like where you feel like you're unlocking powers in a zone. I think there's cool ideas there.
And this is another place where seasonal worlds kind of help us experiment and try out new systems. Look for more of that.
Yeah, I think if we can get this end game ripping, like we have the sort of the early and middle game, I think that's the sort of the last piece, like you said, that could really sort of keep people playing and excited.
And like, it's going to take a lot of work. Like we have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that we want to do, which is why you'll see on our living roadmap that we have improvements to things and then overhauls to things. And one is for midterm, one is for long term, which maybe this feels like a good place to now start talking about long term. All right, now we're joined at the table by Kurt, our lead designer for world content. And we're going to talk about the third category on our document, which is in exploration. We want to share our early thinking and
Okay, in exploration. So probably stuff that they're thinking about maybe adding, but not 100% maybe. New weapons, new raid. Okay. All right. Looks like some good stuff. Ranked PvP, I like that. Yeah, maybe have some different PvP modes too. New PvE modes, I like that. Okay, let's see what they got.
What we have in store for sometime in the future. As we said earlier, we're all in on Endgame right now. We want to make replayable content. We want to make more things to chase, more frequent content updates. And some of the things we're thinking about are, we'll start with kind of our known things like new weapons, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So nothing to announce on specifics here, but we are in development on our next weapon, and we actually are going to be prototyping multiple weapons. And
that's
they'll
awesome.
be coming out at a more regular cadence in the future.
Yep. And then new zone up levels and new zones. So Kurt, you worked on the Cutlass Keys up level, for example.
That's right. Cutlass Keys was an experiment in what it would be like to create a max level replayable zone in New World. As many of you know, the questing system and level up experience looks a lot different than it did when it first launched. And as part of that streamlined process to make it level up as immersive and fun as it could be, there are parts of the game that kind of got left out of that streamlined leveling quest line that we did. So we're looking at taking some of those zones that are no longer part of the level up experience and repurposing them into max level explorable play spaces. And so one of the things that we're currently working on is a Reekwater up level to refresh Reekwater for max level players and bring new elements of progression and gameplay to the zone.
I think one of the things I'm most
it's
excited about
good.
that is some of the collection elements that I've seen from your team that you guys are really investing in. I'm a player that really likes to go exploring. I like a little bit of PvP, and getting me out into the world to just kind of emergently discover what's there or go out and look for these things to collect is something that's my jam. I really enjoy that, so I'm excited to see what happens with these.
Yeah, the idea with Reekwater is that we want to try and create more of an open world experience than an on-rails quested experience.
Yeah.
There's so much content in the game actually that players don't really have a reason to explore because they hit max level and there's like no reason to go back to this zone that, you know, so like this is awesome. Like
yeah, and this in conjunction with some of the stuff that we've already talked about, like a reputation framework. These are going to be great systems to use going forward to make our endgame content more replayable for players.
Yeah, and there's more even than what's on what we're publishing and talking about today. But yeah, like take all the content, give you reasons not just to go to it, maybe even for the first time, but again and again and again.
Yeah,
and
that's so
you know,
important.
I'm very excited about how we're kind of approaching doing our up levels as building the pieces to eventually culminate in that new zone when that does finally come out. New World is always meant to be a sand park, and we started out all sand long ago, back in the alpha days. And we've got our park nice and built, and I think where we're at now, just we need to kind of find that right balance between sand and park, and that means bringing more sandbox. Like we have the systems in place, so like when you see us say things like influence tower, claim siege system, territory overhaul, these are things that players have been asking for, and I think everybody's got a different idea of what to do. But you know, to me, like I would even conceptually say that company hall ties with that, because like these are things we need a way to feel like you have a home in the game, that you're doing some kind of a base building loop, and that's what the territory system is meant to be. But it's just, I think we can
that
get
you
it
and your
there.
friends, that you and your company have goals to be able to build up and activities to do together, and feel like you're making meaningful progression and impact on what those things are. Again, together you're building up, and I think that's a big thing. I love those company style guild halls and other things that you can build in other games, and I'm excited to see what we do there. I think that's something I'm personally going to enjoy a lot.
Absolutely. Also, like making it more than just like the top companies on the server get to participate. Like it's more like, you know, anyone can start a company, build something, like they have a little slice of the world that they, you know, own. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's also worth mentioning that we're not just focused on overhauling or revamping existing locations and systems, but we are ideating on new locations in the world that we can add to New World to progress the narrative and expand the world in new, exciting ways as well.
Some of the early looks on some of the new areas and
give us flying mounts, bro. One thing at a time, right? One thing at a time.
raid style stuff that we're prototyping, I'm so excited for. They're just so cool looking.
Yeah, me too.
I will say the horse mounts or the just the riding mounts in general feel really good. Feel really good. I hate that you have to buy the expansion in order to get access to those mounts. Smart on them, business wise, right? Because once I reached, I think it was like level 20, and I was like seeing everyone have mounts, and I'm like, you know, moving like a turtle, and everyone's like passing by me like a cheetah. I was like, all right, I got to buy the expansion now so I can get my mount. But they do feel really good. They do feel really good. I just wish it was in the actual game, like the base of the game.
Some of the coolest art assets I've seen. So I'm excited to see players get those things.
Yeah. Well, we won't go into any more details than that, although there were no details at all. But we won't talk anymore about some of the ideas. But the big takeaway is like we're excited. We hear the players. New World is a wonderful world to just hang out in and play. They
hear us,
and we just need reasons to do that more and ways to go deeper. That's what we're looking at.
There it is. There it is. Is that it? Oh,
wow, that was a lot of information. Thank you to all of the folks, Dan, you and the group, for sharing all that information. Really appreciate it. I don't know about you all, but I think
She didn't really
I
talk
found it all
much.
exciting. If I had to pick one thing, though, I think the seasonal servers are just going to change the way people play the game, and I think that's awesome. Really, really cool.
For me, it's the OPR map. I've been waiting a while. I'm excited to bring something out for players. I think they're going to like it.
I'm just excited to go home and ride my turkey mount.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.
My goodness.
Turkey mount.
Yeah, we talked a lot about like what's coming next and things that we're thinking of for the future. But there is something that's coming up that we haven't talked about, which is free trials. So this is something that's on console. And so if you have friends or family who've been wanting to try out New World Aeternum, this is a really great opportunity for them to hop in and try it out for free. So look for more details on that on the site.
And
That's
beyond
good.
that,
I mean, that's good.
the one thing I really want to do is just a big thank you, heartfelt thank you. Like the team put their heart and soul into.
I actually really like games that have like a free trial. Like I think pretty sure Final Fantasy, you can pretty much like play the game, like free to play the game until like level 60 or something like that. And then if you want to go progress to more of the content or whatever, then you actually have to buy the game. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it is. And I just like that. Like they could make it similar to this where it's like have new players that, you know, anybody can play up to like level, I don't know, 30 or something like that. And then after that point, like they have to pretty much pay to like actually buy the game or whatever it may be. But I think just it kind of opens the door for more people to try the game. And I'm telling you, once they try like at least the beginner, like new player experience, I mean, it's really good. It's really good.
Making New World Aeternum. And when you see so many people come in and play and experience it and have a good time, it makes it all worth it. Feels really good. So like on behalf of the entire team, thank you to all the players. Like we couldn't be more appreciative. And with that,
That's
we
genuine.
will see you in Aeternum.
Peace. Peace. Let me go back to this here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, seems like a lot of good stuff is coming into New World, right? Such as the new OPR map, different or new PvP modes, PvE modes, you know, the pickup war mode, new seasonal servers, which seems like that's going to be a really big thing for the developers to kind of implement. They think that's going to be a pretty big hit for the players. You know, invasion mode, global storage, which would be massive, right? It's a huge quality of life improvement. New raids, new weapons, right? So I mean, it's pretty hype. It's pretty hype, and I really like how Amazon Games did this whole presentation and just kind of explained everything and kind of just talked through some of these ideas and the content. You know, it's not like they just threw up a roadmap like this and then didn't really like talk about it. I like how they just genuinely wanted to talk about the future of the game, and I think that's a really good sign. Oh man, I got a cold. But yeah, I think that is a really good sign for New World Aeternum and just looking at the future. Hopefully everything that they talk about on here will be implemented into the game. And, you know, hopefully Amazon actually seizes this opportunity for not only the new players, but also for the veteran players, right? So yeah, super hype. This is awesome. Let me know down in the comments on your opinion on, you know, this living roadmap. And, you know, are you optimistic and hyped for this roadmap? Or, you know, are you just kind of, I don't know. But yeah, super awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me with this video. And if you liked this video or this content, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Really helps out the channel. But hey, I will see you in the next video. Peace.
Sunsets on black desert sky. It's just you